Daniel Bryan has been in the news lately for a lot of reasons. Bryan talked about his inclusion in the match at WrestleMania 37, kind of compared it to his inclusion in WrestleMania 30, and he hinted that he wasn't comfortable being in the main event at WrestleMania 37. So Bryan said in an interview, he said, I don't know why I kept trying to get out of it. I was like, this is a heck of a story. 10 years to the day that Edge was forced to retire, and he's back. Gosh, it was shortly after Elimination Chamber and in the build up to the singles match I had with Roman Reigns at Fastlane. I was like, this is going to be stick Daniel Bryan in here. Not to say that I didn't want to be part of it, but I just thought that it was such a strong main event, just the two of them, that everybody has their thing. Like, he basically said that he felt like his inclusion in the WrestleMania 37 main event was unnecessary. And that
too. I really did.
and that it should have just been Edge and Roman Reigns, and that he was actively trying to get out of it apparently. And he kind of goes on to compare it to his match at WrestleMania 30 and says that, at WrestleMania 30, I had a lot of momentum that carried me into that match. And this time, with no fans, that it wasn't the same energy. And we found out, obviously, he didn't get the biggest reception at WrestleMania 37. He got a big pop, but not as big as Edge. And I think that was the thing. But so it's interesting. He also noted in that interview that his contract is up this year, and this is likely his last WrestleMania. He's coming to the end. He's coming to the end of his time as a full-time wrestler. So, all of that happened. What were your thoughts, Trevor, on Bryan's comments on not just WrestleMania 37, but his future?
I expect nothing but that from Daniel Bryan. We talked about it, saying that yes, is Daniel Bryan a good addition to the match? Yes, he was. But honestly, he wasn't needed. Like, he really wasn't needed. Like, you didn't need Daniel Bryan to build this match up. It was already built. And I honestly, it's kind of how I felt about the Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair match. Like, I felt like Charlotte didn't really need to be there.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I felt like, was it a bad thing that she was there after the finished product? No, not really. But I felt like she really wasn't needed. I felt like you kind of tarnishing something that could have been even more great than it actually was, and it was phenomenal. Bob and Charlotte. I kind of feel the same thing with this WrestleMania 37 match. I mean, and I honestly believe everything he said. I believe he genuinely said this. I believe he genuinely meant every word, because I've met Daniel Bryan once in person. He's such a nice guy. So he's great to his fans, loves his fans. He'll sit there and talk to you, especially when he's an ROH. Like, I honestly believe that's how he felt, and I believe this might be his last year as an active wrestler too. I mean, unless he gets the itch again, and he gets a good contract or whatever, maybe. But honestly, I think this is it.
So I think as far as WrestleMania 37 goes, I actually agree with you. I do see the comparison with WrestleMania 35 with Charlotte Flair and whatnot, and what ended up happening with her inclusion in that main event. But where I see it as different, right? Charlotte Flair's inclusion in that match wasn't Daniel Bryan was different because Bryan was actively cutting the best promos.
He was.
Going into his match at Fastlane and then afterwards. Like it wasn't like he kind of elevated his way out of that position of where Charlotte Flair was, I think, in 2019. I think he kind of he was like, all right, if you're going to put me there, I'm going to do what I do, which is be the best in the world at almost everything. And he went out there, he cut the best promos. Like, if you watch the Go Home show to WrestleMania on SmackDown, the WrestleMania SmackDown they did,
right?
His promo was, if there were fans there, I genuinely believe there were fans in the arena, that would have been the turning point where people were like, okay, Daniel Bryan is the guy, because the guy that they're rooting for. I think Edge still would have gotten a great pop, but I think he would have had a better reaction because, man, that promo, he laid it all out on the table, and he cut the best promo. So that's where I think it kind of differed from the Charlotte Flair thing. 'Cause Charlotte Flair thing felt way more forced than the
Right.
Bryan thing. Um, and we can talk about whether or not he was needed in that match. I think he ended up adding to that match more than taking away. Right.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think in the end he ended up adding to that match because that was a great main event. That was like literally
Right.
one of the best main events we've seen in a while in WWE, and I think a lot of that was due to Daniel Bryan playing that role in the match. And look, he went over like he let Roman go over him like in the biggest possible way. The dude took a concerto. So I think he's like one of those guys. I think if Daniel Bryan was slated to win this match, I genuinely think he would have been politicking his way out of winning that match to be like, no, if there's anyone who should be losing this match, it's me. And like you said, he's a very humble guy, very grateful guy. Like, go back and watch his retirement speech in 2016.
Okay.
All of that is real. That is Bryan Danielson
hell?
laying his heart out. How did he end his basically career at the time? He ended it with the words, "I am grateful," and that's what Daniel Bryan is. He's the most humble guy likely in the history of wrestling, and that's why he's so beloved. And
Like
you
I
know,
said,
yeah.
just watching him at those house shows and I used to watch with ROH. He literally would start at one end and go around that ring and make sure it was his point. It was his duty to say hi to all his fans, all his fans. He would make sure he either take a picture with them or sign something or having like a 5-minute conversation with them. He literally made it his duty to talk to all of them, especially the younger ones. Like, I mean, you can mention other people that do that too, like John Cena, Roman Reigns before he was a heel, Ronda Rousey even. Like, you can mention a lot of people that did that, but in this day and age, and that wasn't super long ago. I mean, what it was actually, that was like maybe 2012 or maybe a little before that. Because how long has he been in WWE?
2010.
2010. So yeah, that was longer than that. That was like '09. And yeah, like in ROH, I mean, it was a lot of people, but still wasn't like the crowds at WWE. But yeah, he did that, and to me, that shows something for a wrestler or entertainer. That the type of guy he is.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned Daniel Bryan. This might be the last year we see him in the ring, and I do think that's likely. He's made no bones about it that he wants to go be a dad. We've covered this before. He wants to go be a dad. He wants to go there, be there for his family, and be healthy. That's another thing that he's talked about active. He's like, I've taken every day as kind of like a blessing to this point, as that every day that I'm wrestling. So I think we could see Daniel Bryan legitimately hang up his boots, and it could be for the rest of his life. But I do think that I think Bryan, he loves wrestling. He loves wrestling. And I would not put it past him, and I mean this in a positive way, to be done as a full-time wrestler. I think, look, he can do like, one or two big events a year and do build up to that. And I think still like be at home with his family, because we've seen the way AEW does their business model. They don't run house shows.
No,
They even pre-pandemic, they did one pay-per-view a quarter, and they did their weekly television. Other than that, you're basically free for the rest of the week.
Like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and that was just because WrestleMania was in the neighborhood, so they were like, let's do like a special thing there. So that was interesting, and I think that Daniel Bryan could do something on that type of AEW, whether it's AEW, whether it's New Japan, or even going back to Ring of Honor, doing one last loop there. I think he could do that, because I think he's talked about wanting to wrestle Okada. He's talked about wanting to wrestle Omega. He's talked about wanting to wrestle Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin. He's talked about wanting to wrestle all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I legitimately think on a lighter schedule, because only wrestling once a week, only showing up to TV once a week max, and not doing house shows, not putting your body on the line on random house shows, useless house shows that don't even draw money, like 300 days a year. I think that's a schedule he could do. And whether it's only for like a year he does it, or whether he only like shows up for one big thing, I think before it's all said and done, Bryan will do one last run somewhere other than WWE. At least one last run somewhere other than WWE.
I think he
And
will run at the Indies. I think
yeah. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.